How is it going, guys? Great day again, of course, with a nice little sell-off finally today. Like we are seeing like that topping action continue in the current kind of time frame. We are seeing broken trend lines, and while I've started just taking a few small short-term longs, I think we are definitely, like what I've mentioned yesterday, we are seeing that topping action. We're slightly running out of steam, but I do hope for one last push past the 2900. And I think, despite broken trend lines, here's again is the thing, like you want to go against what the mainstream is thinking. And what's the mainstream thinking right now? Oh, the trend line's broken, blah, 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 blah. So I think with this 14 MA right underneath here, we could actually see, like that famous 14 MA bounce that we are trading with our strategy, despite like stuff breaking. And you look at into the regression channels here, here as well. Let me draw it here on the 4 hour. Like, we are right at the bottom of that regression channel. So this is actually still a quite justified position to or a spot to go long in for a retrace into like the previous high, and hopefully just a push past. Like by the time it's back up here, it would be right at the middle line, right? So perhaps if it fails at the middle line, then that's where we would like finally see the actual drop. And also just from a kind of market rhythm kind of point of view, usually you see like 3 pushes with moves like this, or that's like just quite a regular thing you've observed. Is 1, 2, so there's like one more push needed, and most of all the last push is usually a little bit smaller. So a little bit smaller, that would lead it right here into that target area of ours. And if you look at the SPX here as well, like we are now, despite being underneath and the lower bound of the expected move, this could still get the save from the 14 MA. It's not that perfect upper celt setup anymore that we want or wanted or wished for, but I still think this could have potential. Like the longs that I'm mentioning, the short-term longs, they are very small compared to my long-term shorts. But that's just like how we play the short-term trends versus the long-term trends. And like the same thing with bonds. Like I've been long-term long in bonds, like since here, after like being short-term here. So it's just like you always have to keep your time frame in mind. So with the bonds, by the way, while we're here, I have not added to my positions. Like the stuff that I have from here, I'm still running with. And while we're at it, why don't we just jump into TLT as well, because Nikki pointed that one out today, and it's definitely like a big one. We have closed perfectly over that upper celt here, and that's like a nice little dip. We are also holding like the upper celt on the 4 hours and all these things that we usually look for long setups. And compared to the futures, the ETF is actually already breaking out of the resistance area that we had ahead. I guess the next level will be like the 172, 173, and then like 180. There is a nice move ahead in bonds for when the market starts selling off again. But now let's just look at the watch list. It's I'm trying to like get a few individual stocks in for you guys every day, even though I barely trade them at the moment. There will be ample opportunity to trade individuals again once the market settles down in a few months. But for now, I'm mainly trading the market. Twilio, we got the sell-off quite hard, and I hope you guys covered, because it went right into previous resistance, and like those counter trend trades, they're short-term trades. So like get in, get the move, get out. You don't want to hold too long and overstay your welcome. And now, you know, like this could actually be a long. Just looking at how it held the upper celt, that was the first pull back into the upper celt. So if the market wants to have its last push as well, this might have, you know, like another push as well, perhaps into this 115 kind of area. Microsoft. So we saw quite a bit of selling in tech today. And we are right at the brink, actually, basically between, you know, like it's right at the cusp of still being bullish and the dip buy versus falling apart. And you're going to see, like, I have a few tech stocks here on the list, and Microsoft is actually one that presents a bullish setup with the pullback into the 14 MA after the crossover, like the first touch. That's what we played in McDonald's the other day. You know, like that's a nice long opportunity, even though like the 4 hour doesn't look too good here. I think the daily looks quite nice. You know, like it's managed to almost fill this gap. So like that kind of that stuff is filled up again, and a long back into the 177 kind of area might not be a bad idea from here. Next one, Home Depot. This one, the reason why I bring this up is because I was looking at this one yesterday. So like the short worked. Perhaps if you took it, probably cover into the 14. I think that was a nice little counter trend. A little short here. Almost hit the top. I just wanted to point that out, that this one is working from what I pointed out yesterday. Twitter sold off today with the rest of tech. This one is an interesting one because it's held the lower bound of that channel, but it's underneath all the moving averages. So you kind of want to see where this opens up tomorrow. If this opens up back over like the 14, let's see, it didn't cross over yet. So if this opens like over the 14, over the 30, perhaps over 26.30, then this could be very interesting for the break of this trend line and for a move back into the upper end of the channel, or at least into the upper celt here, which would be like 28.50, 28.70 kind of area. Roku, that one worked out well as well. As I don't want to sound like a bloody oracle type of guy who's trying to make it sound like he calls every trade, but I did point out that this one is overextended. This one is coming into the upper end of the regression channel here, and that it might be an interesting short from here, especially with profit taking into Netflix earnings and all that stuff, and that the fundamentals might not be as good as the subscriber numbers paint the picture. So yeah, that worked out. Again, counter trend trades, get in, get out. Hopefully you covered. If not, and we sell off more tomorrow, I think Netflix is down after hours, so cover into the upper celt for sure. Shopify, another one, and that one is a big one. That's the only one I traded of individual stocks. I shorted into the close yesterday, and as I told you guys, I had orders that were filling on this gap up, and I have covered about 2/3 of that position already. Perfect trade. I mean, couldn't be more perfect. But the only thing that could be more perfect if it had actually touched my target here at 5. Well, I'm not sure exactly what I pointed out. I think I said 5.35. So if we would have got in there, that would have been perfect. But hey, this is as perfect as it gets in the markets. Nothing is really precise. So definitely really happy about this one. Google, another one of the techies, that is holding the 14 MA. So that's like the 14 MA touch that we look after the crossover. It looks basically the same as Microsoft. So could be a long if you can afford the spreads, if you can afford not the spreads, if you can afford the options. If you're not trading spreads, just make sure this is not as liquid, so it might be you might have to wait for you to get filled on the bid instead of trying to get filled, force it and hit the offer. Walmart, strong, like retail obviously is strong. So this one is pulling back into the upper Celt, also pulling back into this breakout level. I think this could be a nice long if the market recovers from here, which I kind of think it will. Recovers, just has a last kind of bounce. This is definitely like an interesting long into 135. Just from the classic upper Celt long setup that we look for. Now I have a few bearish 14 MA crosses. Again, like this time tech. That's like the kind of discrepancy that we see. Like some tech stocks they are right above the 14, and then the weaker ones, relatively weaker ones like Cisco, has crossed the 14 MA, has obviously broken that trend line, and theoretically what we look for in stuff like this is when the 14 MA is over the 30 and it closes underneath the 14 like this, and there's like a bit of distance between the two moving averages, we expect it to test the 30. So now if you take that short, you would want to cover into the 30 moving average in the next few days when it touches. There's 2 more or 3 more in that category in the Nvidia as well. This one is super tight, but it closed under. So the same thing, target would be 252, I guess, or just wherever the 30 MA is. Once it touches, that's where you cover. So take these with caution, because we've also had that crossover. But I think they do have quite a good chance of working out. Talk to ATG about this one as well, but I do like them. And here we have a few opportunities that are working out, and just the fact that XLK, the technology ETF itself, closed underneath that 14, or it's close. That's why I say this might just be the 14 MA test for the last bounce, or it might just have like one more day or two to test the 30 and then bounce. But just if you go straight from the setup that we trade, close under, we target the 30. So yeah, that's like definitely interesting that the technology ETF itself is actually quite weak. Last one of the 14 MA closes is AVGO. So that one is definitely closing far below. If this opens under the lower Celt, under the middle Celt tomorrow, definitely target the 30 moving average here, then reassess. That would be likely like a day, 1 day, perhaps 2 day trade. So nothing long-term holds. But we see we do see a lot of broken trend lines, and that's what I just want to show you guys, is that now we are in the markets, the positive correlated market sectors. We have the financials who are now closing under, technology that's closing under, and so we see a few more every day. See like consumer, healthcare, utilities, everything is closing under now, is breaking those trend lines. So it doesn't have to say sell off right from here, but it says topping action. That's what it says to me. So stay diligent and watch out for what we are doing, what it's going to do next. I think there might be just a little bit more chop in the next few days ahead, and then hopefully we get the drop that we've been waiting for. All right, guys, that's it from me. Nice and shorter than yesterday at least. If you guys have questions, put them in the comments below or message me in Discord. I'm here usually around mid trading day for you guys in the US, and I'm available all overnight If you guys have questions, DM me so I get like a little sounds that I hear that you're DMing me. Because if I just get tagged in chat, I'm not always monitoring the chat when I'm working on other stuff. But yeah, if you have questions, hit me up. If you like the video, please like the video. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Let's hack this YouTube algorithm. We're seeing a few more viewers, and it's nice to welcome new members into the group. I think everyone who's starting new was initially overwhelmed with like the savviness and the just the knowledge that you guys have accumulated over the last few months. And it's interesting for me to see, actually, to observe how new people act versus some of you more established guys like DT, who just seem to have way more routine and way more of a system, and are way less about being right, and much more about being consistent. And that's the greatest thing to see. You guys are developing, and we are on a really great track. So let's keep going like that, guys. Watch out for tomorrow, watch out the overnight action, and I'll talk to you guys midday tomorrow.